Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around. My name is Tyler.
I'm Steve.
And today we are really excited to welcome on Dan Buck. But before we get into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So you may know Dan Buck from Art of Play or the Buck Twins, but what we're going to take a look at today is just getting to know Dan as a person, as a part of the cardistry and playing card community. So without further ado, welcome Dan.
What up, Dan?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming, especially, such short notice. So we really appreciate it.
No problem. There's always time.
Extremely short notice.
Yeah, right?
So how are things out by you today? How's quarantine been treating you?
It's been good. I mean, it's been pretty low key. I'm used to traveling a lot, so I've been just staying at home and working on various projects. Basically, I go to our warehouse and back into the grocery store. That's been my life for the past 3 months.
Okay, that's a pretty mellow life there.
Nothing.
You just moved, right?
Yeah, on top of well, not on top of that, but yeah, I recently moved to Boise, not even a week ago.
Oh wow.
My wife and I have been planning this for a while, and it finally happened.
Very nice.
We got to Boise on Tuesday, and we've been staying in a hotel for 3 nights because our house is not quite finished.
Okay, that's a little bit less than ideal, I guess.
It's a little annoying, but once it's done, it will be nice.
How much longer do you have to wait?
We just got here today. I'm outside. We can actually sleep here tonight, so it's fine.
Nice.
Oh, good. That's cool. Is it like floor sleeping for a couple days, or?
Yeah, they cured the hardwood floor, and it has to sit for like 3 or 4 days. So we have a dog, and we don't want him like running around on it, which is nails and scratching it all up. So.
Yeah,
I mean, there's time for that once he's moved in and settled. So.
Of course.
At least you want to have the hardwood floor nice for at least a week or two.
At least, right?
Yeah, before that happens.
So how are things in Boise? Are stores open and restaurants and everything, or is it kind of in somewhat of a lockdown state?
Still somewhat in a lockdown. The first night we got here, we drove around and it seemed like bars and restaurants were open, but I guess they had to close back down on Friday because there was, surprise, a new outbreak.
All right.
Yeah, the same things happen here in Cali too. We're starting, governor's starting to really propose maybe locking down again for longer time. Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's mostly I'm blaming all the small towns that don't give a shit about COVID-19. I recently visited my parents who live in Sonora, which is a very small town, and I'm like, no one here wears masks. No one cares about anything. Like, what is this world we're living in?
Yeah, you're talking Sonora, right? Like right here in Cali.
Yeah.
It's its own world for sure.
Boise is a little better, but
I think a lot of people don't know about it. Like I have friends who live in Minneapolis, not in Minneapolis proper, but they live close enough to Minneapolis in a small little town, and they didn't go on lockdown until like a month and a half after we did. And they're like, well, we just don't have the amount of outbreaks you do. I'm like, well, you better lock down before you do have the amount of outbreaks.
It's like you probably do. You just don't know.
Right.
Or it's just a matter of time without masks that you do get it. Yeah, like things don't pop up everywhere at the same exact time. So it's definitely an interesting world we live in, and I think, it's interesting to see how everyone is reacting to it. I mean, I know I'm on the East Coast, I'm in New Jersey, and we've started to loosen restrictions a little bit in here in New York and Connecticut, and it seems like people are now going on vacation and they're going out to dinner every night, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I get it, like you were cooped up for a while, but like just because you want to go outside doesn't mean the virus has just not become a real thing anymore. So it's crazy.
Yeah. A friend just recently mentioned it's okay to eat out at restaurants as long as you don't sit by the air conditioning.
Oh, jeez.
What logic is that?
Yeah, it's not very logic at all. It's funny because I live in Petaluma. I'm sure you know what Petaluma is, and
very nice. Yeah,
and it's a pretty chill, like old person spot, I guess. It's a lot of old people here, a lot of old white people, you know.
Yeah.
And they're paranoid. Like people that live in Petaluma are paranoid. I don't know if you know the app Nextdoor.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm on Nextdoor and constantly get things about people like ranting and raving about just masks, you know, even when you're walking your dog. And like, so it's pretty interesting seeing in a town like this, the amount of people that aren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly young kids who are just like, I'm not going to wear that mask.
Young kids and our parents.
Yeah.
Oh man, the people who are the most susceptible are the ones who just don't want to wear the mask.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, very true.
So on to, I guess, you know, a more, you know, friendly topic of just in general playing cards. I mean, actually, I think a good question to start things off is what really first got you into playing cards and cardistry, whether it be Magic or whatever. You know, what was your origin story, we'll call it?
Was it Chris Ramsey? No, I'm just kidding. That's everybody's. Yeah. When we ask anybody on the show, they're like, "Well, I kind of saw Chris Ramsey video first, so it's just I had to ask." I mean,
it's true. We could joke about it, but man, that guy is extremely influential. He's
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So many magicians. It's awesome.
I agree.
But you know, more or less the same thing happened to us. Instead of Chris Ramsey, it was David Blaine back in the day.
Yeah.
We didn't really. I mean, we got into Magic. Cards were just a tool to help us, you know, practice our hobby of card magic at first. And then it wasn't until, you know, more and more people started to come out with custom decks, such as David Blaine. I remember vividly when David Blaine released his first set of split spades, you know, the old ones that looked like a tally-ho box ripoff. Yeah. I remember them showing up on eBay from like just a random stranger he had performed Magic to, and like the story was that he gave them the deck, and either it was total coincidence that that person put it on eBay or very clever marketing. Clever marketing as a way to introduce the world to his custom playing cards. And I think really, at least from what I can remember, that was really the first custom deck. I mean, yeah, Illusionist had been around for like 2 years, and they were doing all the bicycle decks, but they were just like color changes, you know, they made them black.
Like Shadow Masters and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that really intrigued us, you know. At the time we were working on the trilogy, we were filming that in Las Vegas, and we were also working alongside Theory 11 to help develop that brand and the original Guardians. Between those, it gave us the idea, like, why not do our own deck? And that's how Smoking Mirrors was born in a way.
That's cool. How does it feel like? I mean, I see so many people. I'm relatively new. You know, Tyler's newer than I am, but I'm like a year in now.
Wow.
I'm an infant. But I'm older than you, so you can call me a baby in that aspect.
How old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay, you're definitely older than me.
Yeah. I think I'm older than everybody but Kyle. Diesel Illusions.
Yeah, but if you come to Cardistry Con next year, you'll be the oldest one in the room, because currently Dave and I are the oldest ones.
Sweet, I will be the oldest one. We'll definitely be there. I give you my word. But the cool thing is just seeing people who have the idea of a deck of cards and go through with it, and it's printed, and then it gets into their hands, and just the emotion and the excitement about it. Like, how did it feel when you went through that process? Because I know the process is grueling. I'm kind of going through it right now, you know, with a designer designing it, and then, you know, obviously Kickstarter is a lot bigger than it was probably at the time, you know, Mirrors came out. But
I don't even think.
How did that feel?
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, how do you, like, if you don't know, it's like, how do you make a deck of cards? You know, we get that question all the time, and for us, it's so turnkey and simple just because we've been doing it for so long. Right. But we're experiencing the same thing now in manufacturing toys and puzzles, but that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
But yeah, like, how do you make a deck of cards? Thankfully we have such a great community, and everyone is, for the most part, willing to share and point people in the right direction. And the US Playing Card Company has just made it incredibly easy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, having that first physical product, it's like a book, like it's paper. This is gonna last forever. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of these new designers realize that, because it's like, in 2 years you're gonna hate this.
Yeah.
Whatever. We've been there and done that. At the time we were really happy with Smoke and Mirrors and loved the design. That was what we were into. Now I wouldn't use that deck.
Yeah, that's funny.
It doesn't fit my aesthetic at all.
It's so funny. We were actually literally just talking about that. It's just like an artist or a photographer or something like that. And, they start out with a certain style, and then they look at it 5 years, 10 years down the road, and they're like, good God, what was that?
Yeah, exactly. That's like with any art, you grow and your tastes evolve, what you're into changes. So it's fine in a way. But yeah, I guess that's a good thing. If in 5 years you're onto something else, the goal is to, constantly do something better.
Yeah.
Then get out of the game.
Right. You ever have people come up to you? Oh. You ever have people come? You ever have people come up? You ever have people come up to you and go, like, just talk about the Mirrors deck, like the Smoke and Mirrors deck, and kind of like a musician that's been singing the same, like people request the same song, and they're like, God, I don't want to like talk about this song anymore. Yeah,
it was our first deck of cards, and it was a pretty epic series of decks that lasted quite a while, with seven editions, 7+ editions if you count the reprints and the private reserve.
Yeah,
and the Anyone collaboration. So it's, in a way, it's lasted since 2008. So
that's
a long time.
Yeah,
it's a long run.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy talking about it. It definitely kickstarted, our company. That and the trilogy, in a way, made us realize that, we're not just hobbyists. We're not just kids practicing the art. This is a legitimate business, and we need to take it seriously.
Yeah, it's cool to see different businesses and how they handle things. I when I first came in, I remember watching some videos that you guys put up, and I think the video is when you were talking about I think it was actually somebody came to visit you. I'm trying to think who it was, but you were talking about the Jerry's Nuggets, the OG. No, it wasn't Nuggets. It was the Podoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was like the original Podoo that you had. And you showed that deck, and just looking at the showroom, I guess you can call it, was really cool to see all that stuff.
There for you guys today, so I could show you around. But we'll have to do another episode when I'm actually there.
We should one up that and have Tyler and I actually come in and do a show live from there. That'd be cool.
Yeah, you really should. You're not too far to get off topic for a second, but I'll tell you this: it's not going to be around for much longer, because we're moving to a new warehouse and temporarily doing away with the showroom. So you should come check it out and do that video before like the end of November.
Okay, we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Because he's in Jersey, so we'll get him out here.
Well, you're a little closer.
Yeah, for sure. We'll make it happen for sure. We'll work it out.
Get flights real cheap right now, so that's perfect.
Yeah, actually, just book it and we'll make it happen. You'll have to fly out from Boise.
Yeah, of course. I'll be going there.
That'd be cool. And we'll make sure that we get Dave on with you. It's funny.
It's rare to see Dave and I in the same video these days.
It's funny because I just actually, since we have the video, we have the questions up right here. I got a question that said, and give me 12 seconds to look it up here. You can go on and here it is.
I think I got the same one as you from Brad.
Yeah. Have you ever wished there were triplets? If so, have you ever considered adopting a 38-year-old ginger as the third buck? He has karate skills, if that's a plus.
That's a plus for sure. Yeah, of course. If there was another Den and Dave in the mix that had our work ethic and taste, that would be incredible. We would be unstoppable, but there's only two of us.
Yeah, but
I actually got
he also
question.
asked. He also asked if Dave's a real person because he hasn't seen you taking pictures or in videos with him in 30 years.
I mean, it's true. It's been a while, but to be honest, he has a 2-year-old daughter, so the last 2 years have probably been pretty crazy for him.
Yeah.
Priority shift at some point, especially when kids come into the mix. So I'm sure he's got other things he's worried about.
Yeah.
And so now he's still in California though, right? Or where's he at?
He's in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
how did he feel? I mean, I'm guessing you guys didn't see each other that frequently with family, but like, how does he feel about the shift for you to Boise?
It's fine. Yeah, we both work remotely in a way, and we chat every day on Skype typically. But yeah, it's fine. He also wants to leave California as well. I think him and his wife and daughter want to move to Washington.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Beautiful.
We both. Yeah. We both love the outdoors and don't really take advantage of, I mean, California is beautiful, but it's also the most expensive place in the world to live.
Yeah, this is true.
So, yeah. And we're both we're in LA and I'm in San Diego, or was in San Diego. I can't tell you for the 9 years I was there how many times I went to the beach, maybe 5 or 6.
Oh my God, so true.
I'm not a beach person, so I don't really take advantage of what it has to offer. I'm more into the mountains and lakes and rivers and experiencing the outdoors. So it made sense that I moved out.
Yeah. Why Boise and not someplace like like Boulder or Colorado?
Colorado is incredible. My wife and I spent the last 2 years traveling all over, kind of figuring out where we wanted to end up. We love Oregon. We love Colorado. Denver was incredible, really expensive. Boise seemed like a really cool little city with lots of potential, and it's growing very quickly.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that maybe Boise turns into what Denver did, 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think more people are definitely migrating there. The winters obviously with skiing and snowboarding and.
Yeah, I'm stoked on that. Dave and I grew up snowboarding for almost 10 years and got pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to pick that up again.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's always discouraging, leaving something for so long and then jumping back into it,
I know.
That's like me if in climbing, if I could. That's the only thing that I'm always holding back. If I go climbing right now, I'll be horrible,
No, it comes back quick. I just recently took.
Uh-oh.
Looks like there might be a little hiccup there.
We got a hiccup.
It's fine. Oh,
it was fine.
We lost you for a minute there, Dan.
We lost you.
Yeah, I saw the video go black.
Well, welcome back.
Better you than me. It's usually my computer.
Yeah,
So I got a new computer.
Connection is trash. So onto the, I guess, onto the topic of playing cards again a little bit more. Art of Play has really expanded from, like you said, these decks of cards that you and your brother were putting out to something so much more, obviously, to having a physical location, offering fulfillment services, getting into puzzles and puzzle manufacture. Where, at what point in this whole process did you realize that you really this was going to be your career? If you can really pinpoint one. I mean, it might have just organically happened, but if you can pinpoint a moment where you're like, oh, wow, this is legit.
I mean, I think honestly, the trilogy was the turning point for us as okay, this could be a full-time profession. We can turn this into a business. And we did that for many, many years by producing tons of DVDs and books and products for other magicians, all under the Dan and Dave brand. How Art of Play came to be is, if you guys remember, no, probably not, since you're both relatively new into this world, right?
Yeah.
So dananddave.com used to sell, it used to be like a huge magic shop. It sold tons of books and DVDs that we both produced and curated, magic tricks, tons of playing cards. And that evolved over time, you know, as we were growing the company. And it just felt that we were sort of losing track of what Dan and Dave was as a brand. And, you know, like Dan and Dave, why is Dan and Dave a magic shop, you know? Who are Dan and Dave, you know, for example. And our playing cards started to just really flood that website. There were so many of them, and we wanted to sell more, but some of the decks that we wanted to bring on were just didn't fit, you know, they were off brand or off style. And that's ultimately what gave us the idea to start a new company that only sold a curated collection of playing cards. And we stumbled upon the name Art of Play, which fit perfectly. And we sort of bankrolled that company with just our collection of playing cards. And, you know, it did really, really well. You know, we tapped into our customer base to promote it. There was nothing like it at the time. It was only like a couple magic shops selling playing cards and not very many of them. So we really took advantage of all the decks being funded on Kickstarter, all the decks from around the world, all the decks from our collection. So it was really a nice list of decks that you can buy on Art of Play at the time.
Where did like Deckstarter come in? Like that kind of
Deckstarter evolved shortly after we started Art of Play, and the idea came from Alejandro. Alejandro is one of the veterans in the cardistry community. He used to have this online blog called the QSO, which is basically a YouTube clone for cardistry videos and a forum. And it was very, very popular in the cardistry community. That was really all there was at the time. So we had become good friends with him through that channel. He lived in Spain, and he took a trip to stay with Dave and I in LA for 3 months on a temporary visa. And we started talking, and Kickstarter at the time was getting really, really popular for the playing card community. I think Wired magazine even wrote an article about the popularity of playing cards on Kickstarter. And it's crazy. Like that was like 7 years ago, and like I thought it was going to peak, and then it's just constantly
crazy.
Yeah.
But we had the crazy idea of, you know, basically cloning Kickstarter just for the playing card community and calling it Deckstarter. It made sense. It was his idea. It's kind of what he did with the QSO in a way, with cardistry. Instead, this was with playing cards. At the time, it seemed like a great idea. You know, why not?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it was a terrible idea. Many different reasons. People are still going to use Kickstarter, just like you know, people are still going to use eBay. You can't make like an eBay clone for rare magic books. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
For one example, we were competing with a company that we were already passionate about and that was growing and really successful, which is Art of Play. And also being like, I mean, I guess it's different. Like Kickstarter, for example, doesn't care. You know, they're not passionate about the projects that get put up on Kickstarter.
Right.
They're cool with it because they're getting a cut of it, you know?
They got a fat cut.
Where us, it felt like we were obligated to promote the projects that were on Deckstarter because it was like a turnkey model where we would market, print, and distribute the playing cards. So our revenue was based on if a deck got funded or not. And in order to do that, it kind of seemed like we needed to promote it. And some of these decks that got submitted were just terrible. Like I don't want my name attached to that. So, I don't know. Within like 18 months, maybe 2 years at the most, we decided it was time to kill that project and move on.
It's cool
Makes
to
sense.
like see that something that you feel is like it was a terrible idea, you know. It's like and you still like you learned from it, you went on and you just kept doing what you were passionate about and wanted to do. And
Yeah, I mean, there's always mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, then you're not evolving, you're not growing. So
exactly, that's very, very true. Go ahead, Tyler, you had something.
Oh, so I guess one of the things that I was curious about, you know, talking about art of play and obviously the making mistakes, but also being the need to evolve. Where do you kind of see things going next? I know there's been a couple different ventures that have come out recently, such as black market decks. I know you're offering a lot of the Kickstarter fulfillment services, things like that. But where do you ultimately see things going? Because I don't think you can ever say, oh, this is the end point of growth. You obviously want to be always growing. But
yeah.
where do you see things going in the midterm, we'll say?
Wow. I mean, the sky is the limit, of course. I can give you some insight of what we'd like to do. But to backtrack a little bit, for fulfillment, that kind of started maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We had a friend, Sid Siegel. He's still our business partner, a longtime friend. He was actually our business partner for MagicCon. We did 4 of those. But for the trilogy, we hired a fulfillment company in New York to fulfill all of our online orders for dananddave.com. And after a year, it was just a nightmare, you know, like we were young. We didn't understand all the fees involved. Like we were just sort of charging customers for shipping and didn't take into account, you know, all the extra fees that fulfillment companies rip you off with. So we had this friend in San Diego say, hey, I'm not doing anything. I have a garage. I can ship everything out for you. So we're like, sweet, let's do it. We sent everything to San Diego, and that was maybe 10 years ago, I guess, shortly after the trilogy came out. And it's kind of just growing organically ever since. You know, it was primarily only to ship our own products out. But then in about 2016, maybe 2015, we leased this massive warehouse in San Diego. San Diego is not cheap. And our inventory only took up a very small portion of it. We're like, well, shit. What are we going to do with the rest of the space? We built out an incredible showroom, and that was a fun little side project that we got to do. But for the rest of it, we started to reach out to our friends and see if we can maybe help them ship out their playing cards, because there was really no place to do that at the time. You know, if you're funding a deck on Kickstarter and you have a full-time job and a family, like you have no time to ship out orders on the side. So it seemed like a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just growing ever since, you know, just by word of mouth, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I can't even imagine. Well, I mean, I can't imagine. Like, it takes a lot of work to ship out packages. And, you know, when you have to ship out 500-600 orders for one Kickstarter, it's a lot. I think a lot of these people don't understand when they're doing their own fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no way you can gauge the expenses, you know, prior to putting up the Kickstarter, which you really have to do, you know. So with our background in shipping and knowledge of what things actually cost, you know, we really help the community out a lot by doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, and we see it all the time. You know, Tyler and I do a Kickstarter kind of recap weekly on the show as well. And we see it all the time where, you know, some of these, you know, campaign creators don't have a fulfillment information on their page. And then when it's time to fulfill these orders, all of a sudden, like crickets, like, you know, the deck is sitting in a warehouse and they're not getting shipped out to the backers. And I think they just, you know, they didn't get enough backing on their deck. It just reached its goal, and they didn't take into consideration the fact that Kickstarter takes their percentage, and then you got to ship out all the packages on your dollar.
Yeah, I mean, so many people lose money, and it's really sad.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and speaking on the fulfillment side of things, I know there was one thing that Steve and I always see, and we're always curious about. Art of Play offers a unique or art of play only stock through USPCC. What's the difference there? If as long as it's not some trade secret, like what's the difference between that and what bicycle stock usually offers?
I guess it's not anymore, but there's really only two stocks that the US Playing Card Company offers. There's like classic and premium stock. Classic is like what everyone uses, it's what they use for bicycles, and there's premium, which is like B and maybe certain casinos, and then that's really it. Everything else is exactly the same. It's just marketing bullshit.
Yeah, it's funny.
What we did years ago was when we did our first Hollingworth deck was work with them and try to get a thin stock similar to the old studs.
Okay.
And miraculously they were able to do it. That first deck is still one of their thinnest decks they've ever made. And they did that by basically when they put the paper through the embossers, which gives it that linen texture.
Yeah.
They just like tightened it a little bit.
And then was it like extra crushed?
Yeah, no, that's bullshit. Yeah. And that's all it took, It's still the exact same paper, still the exact same finish. It's just those rollers squished it.
Good to know. So there's a little variation in it. Cool.
You would think it would be slightly, larger, but it's not. Maybe it is, but you can't really tell.
Who cares?
Yeah, that was like that became a proprietary finish for a very long time. We have since crushed every single deck we've ever produced.
Okay.
And then everyone started copying us, which was fine. Like, how do you trademark that? We don't own the US Card Company. We can't tell them like we want. For a while we had exclusivity, but after a while they just started doing it for other people. And recently they decided to trademark the process. So now anyone can do it. And
interesting.
Yeah, and now, less people are going to be doing it because now you have to have 2,500 decks before you can crush.
So that's nice. I'm glad they did that because it is, I guess it is hard on the machine. Like after a while it could break, and I can't even imagine how much those rollers cost, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it makes sense to charge a certain amount, and I'm glad they put the minimum at 2,500.
Right.
But yeah, it makes it a little less common now.
It's funny too because even with the old 1,500 or 1,000 requirement, I'm shocked at how many people still decided not to go with crushed stock. I guess just based on the longevity of the cards and everything in your use case, but like any deck I've opened with crushed stock, it just feels so much nicer right out of the box.
It's true. I don't know what it is, but I think it just has to do for me with the sheer thickness of a normal deck. I've always since day one removed 4 cards from the deck, the 2 jokers and the 2 ad cards. Like I've never used jokers, so I've always like secretly wanted a thinner deck. And now like when you remove those 4 cards from a crushed deck, it's like, wait, am I missing cards?
It's so true. It's so true. Now when you're doing Magic, is it easier for you when they are crushed or when not? Because I feel like when I'm practicing and I'm trying to do like the DPS or something, when I have a crushed deck, it feels like a lot more difficult to and maybe it's just with more practice doing it on a crushed deck. But do you see that or
not really?
Yeah.
Much of you.
That is definitely a possibility.
Definitely a possibility.
Yeah, it's just I have big hands, and when I have a crushed deck, it just feels like a lot smaller to me.
It's true. It does feel smaller. It feels lighter.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm used to it now, though. Like when I pick up a normal deck, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, we actually before the show, we were talking about bicycle decks, and you said you haven't opened up like a deck of bikes, and since you're like 14, you said.
It's been a long time. I mean, yeah, there's no need to. Like,
right.
I mean,
What's your go-to deck?
My the plaids.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, that's cool.
Favorite cards. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, since we're on the topic of cards, let's get this out of the way. We have a guy on all the time. His name's Stu, and he has this thing that he does. He always sniffs cards, and he also eats them. Don't ask why, but
I'm not going to eat a card.
Yeah, you don't have to. But if you have a brand new deck available, can you open it up and give it a sniff for Stu?
Yeah, I have. I just moved, so most of my decks are back in San Diego. But I have 2 decks, and one of them is the new.
Nice.
So I will open that for you guys.
Sweet. Everyone will be able to see it live.
Okay. Smells like chemicals.
I'd imagine that the gilding has to change it.
This is the first gilded deck that was opened.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it smells better than a normal deck. It probably smells worse than a normal deck, or about as chemically.
Chemically?
You know what? No. I think like the foil gilding like locks in your traditional.
It seals it.
Okay.
It's not as bad, honestly.
Interesting.
It's
that's actually that's unexpected.
That's fun. I mean, it's understandable though, right? Because I mean, I think when you have the regular deck, it's the glue in the cut that comes through, and when that's sealed, you probably don't.
But speaking of the smell of decks, like it's weird. You can tell right away. Like you know, everyone does the smell test. I feel like the deck smells like super bad and like very chemically. It's gonna suck. Like it's gonna clump up right away. It's not gonna last. I don't know what it is. Maybe they didn't let it cure long enough or sit before they cut and finished it. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's very true. Like if a deck smells really bad and potent, it's probably not going to be a good deck.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Since you just opened that deck, why the $300 price tag on it? First, how many did you make?
Well, this is not new. This is still part of the original, the batch that Anyone Worldwide did.
Right.
And we got, as part of that deal, we got a portion, and we had a little over 100 left in our supply.
Yeah.
So we're like, why not just gild them?
Yeah, for sure. Now, why $300?
Why not?
I mean,
what would you value the deck at? There's only a little over 100 of them. We'll probably only ever sell 100 because I'll, use them or give them away. So it's incredibly rare. It's the most rare deck in a way we've ever put out.
Right.
We've sold the normal ones for, $195, and no one gave a shit about that.
I mean, so what you had them originally available at the play capsule for $45, right?
Yeah, when we opened, we had a bunch of decks there that you can only get there for the opening for around $45. Yeah. And we also limited it to how many you can buy. And it was weird, like people in Europe would have a friend from LA drive down and buy a deck.
Yeah, I know.
You can only get it in person, which is kind of cool. It gets people to the shop, and we can talk to them, and they can ask us questions, and they get a souvenir that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's definitely cool. I think with most gilded decks that we see like out there, when they come out, if they're because most gilded decks, like good gilded decks, I'm not talking like ones that just come out that have 1,500 runs and they're gilded, but like good gilded decks might have, the norm is about 100, 150, maybe, 250 tops. So they're all kind of within that range, and they typically go for like, $45, $50 gilded. So I guess that's why I was just curious, like what, where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't come from any sort of research at all.
Right, for sure.
We price most of our things. I mean, well, at least like our rare decks. Like for Black Market, for example, that was a little side project, and it basically happened because I was moving and I was trying to clean out one of many storage facilities. It is just like packed with decks. So I'm like, we've been collecting and saving decks for over a decade. And, do we need all these decks? Are we ever going to use them? Is there ever going to be a time we're going to sell them? Probably. Like maybe that time is now. I don't know. So I went through and with another guy, Adam, who managed our retail space, and that closed down. So he had a ton of time on his hands. He wasn't working. So we kept him working, and he organized and put all our decks together. And we're like, wow, we have a lot of different decks like that we don't need. Let's do something with them. Let's put them on eBay. No, I don't want to do that. That seems a little shady. Or maybe we start another site,
Deck
and
Day.
it just offers like rare out of print decks that you can't get anywhere else. So that seemed like a cool idea. We came up with the Black Market Decks name. And for pricing, we kind of just used eBay as, a guideline. We looked at what had sold and what was currently selling and kind of went with something in the middle, sometimes well below the value. I think for the most part, it was well received from what I saw. There's always going to be two sides to that story, though.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it's strictly for collectors. I don't consider it a part of art of play by any means. It's a very different approach. So Black Market is strictly for the collector's marketplace, and the Smoke and Mirror Gilded deck is not for everyone. It's very rare. If you want it in your collection, buy it.
Okay, for those who want to buy it, who live in Spain or Italy,
oh yeah,
it
will be available on Black Market. Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
gotcha.
Yeah,
it's just that for the initial offering, it was more of a in-person, come down, visit the shop kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. We had just reopened. It gave maybe collectors an excuse to get out into the world again.
Makes sense.
But yeah, it will be available, a small quantity or the rest of the quantity, on Black Market in the coming weeks, probably next month. Yeah.
Awesome. I have one more question, I think, and then we'll put the Black Market decks to rest. Like when a deck, because a lot of the decks on Black Market are decks that are, I don't know if the word is produced or fulfilled by you guys at Out of Play. So when a deck is considered sold out, how much inventory do you typically keep on reserve of a specific deck? Like, for instance, whether it's Fontaine Futures or Hollingsworth or James Coffee, like just some of these decks are basically Art of Play decks.
Yeah, a few, not many. Most of them, there was a lot of Fontaines.
Yeah, but which are obviously always sold out, right? And then all of a sudden, there's hundreds of them popping up.
Those sold out right away once we launched the site. But to answer that question, it really depends. Like we have a reserve for strictly archival purposes that will never see the light of day again. They'll end up in our showroom, or showrooms around the world.
Or museum.
Sure, we could call it a museum.
Yeah, let's open one up, man.
But then we save some for mystery decks or variety boxes or contests in the future. It depends on how many we print and whether we're going to discontinue that deck after one print run or whether we're going to continue printing that deck for years to come. So it really depends. Sometimes we save a gross and sometimes we save several gross,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
But yeah. It's never our intention to just withhold decks to sell more, That would be, I don't know. I think that would be a little wrong.
I mean, I think you and I both know that there are companies that do that. They like put a certain amount on there, and then all of a sudden they're sold out, kind of for the ego stroke, you know. And then maybe like 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half later, they're like two things. They're like, oh, we're having a vault sale where we've reached into our vault and we found 500 decks, or we found them in our warehouse. Like the warehouse, like maybe they go through gamblers and they're like, gamblers found
this
144
is a funny story. So for the smoke and mirror V6s, the red ones, those did incredibly well. They sold out within minutes. And then, no joke, like 6, 7, 8 months down the road, the U.S. playing card company emails us saying, hey, we're getting rid of all of our inventory, cleaning out our warehouse to start the new year. We came across like 1,200 V6s. And we're like, what? Oh, that's awesome. So
just because you turned, like when they originally had them, you're like, no, I don't want the extra 1,600, or
maybe, but we always take the extras. I don't know. Like, who knows? But anyway, that was a cool story, and then people gave us shit. And I'm like, no, we're not lying. Like, this really happened.
I mean, like a weird story like that, I think is, I just think that a lot of people find like extra stock in the warehouse. I think it's. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's okay as long as you don't say like sold out. Like so many like hype brands or playing card companies just say sold out, and like. I don't know. We probably have more.
No, I definitely do know.
I mean, that's just like marketing 101, though. Like you kind of have to do that to build the brand,
Yeah, no, I totally.
Established brands now that whether they offered 2,500 first run or 10,000 first run, they'd sell out either way. It's just a matter of, again.
Can you afford to sit on 5,000 decks?
I mean, I can't, but you can.
No, that's a lot of decks.
So I have a question, actually. You quickly brought it up, and I'd actually like to touch on it a little more because I think it's kind of cool. But, first, thank you for answering those questions. I know they're not, easy questions to answer when people are like challenging something that, is part of your brand. And so I appreciate that. One thing I definitely want to bring up is like MagicCon to CardistryCon. Like, where did you? Because I know you, you had the whole MagicCon and then went to CardistryCon. Like, why the change, and why not kind of clump them together, or any future plans with that stuff?
Yeah. So we debuted MagicCon in 2010, and it was unlike anything that had really been done within the magic industry.
Yeah.
We grew up going to magic conventions. We had been to, no joke, probably well over 100 of them all around the world. That's all we spent our money on as kids, is traveling and going to magic conventions, which helped. That's how we made a name for ourselves. And it also helped because that's, we got very familiar with how a magic convention or how conventions run in general.
Yeah.
Moving to LA kind of gave us a new perspective on like the industry. We were always into film and art and technology and loved that whole aspect of the digital medium. And we got into TED Talks was pretty new back then and incredibly popular, and they kind of disrupted the whole format with these 20-minute talks that were very inspirational and life-changing and left you wanting to learn more. Like afterwards, you would always, go on Google and try to find, the rest of the story or learn more about the specific topic that they were discussing.
Yeah.
And we love that. Typically at a magic convention, it was just like a boring hour-long lecture. Like, here's a trick, let's learn it now. Here's a trick, let's learn it. If I want to learn your tricks, I'll buy your book. Like, I don't want to sit here for an hour and listen to you talk because you're boring. So, yeah, we were kind of fed up with that model, and we're inspired by TED. And decided, hey, why don't we try to do our own conference? We've been in the industry for a long time, and we have a lot of friends, and we reached out to those friends, and they were on board. And the first MagicCon was incredible. I mean, we had Juan Tamariz, and that was the first time he was in the States in like a decade. And he's, the best magician in the world. We had Blaine, we had all these other magicians that were just incredible talent, doing something new and fresh and actually talking about their passion. It was very inspiring, and
very intimate too.
Yeah, incredibly intimate. It was very small. Everyone was crammed in a tiny room. I think we had like 200 people that first year. But yeah, it definitely disrupted, Magic convention world. We did it again for 3 years in a row. Then we took a break and decided we were going to do it every 2 years. So at the tail end of the fourth conference, which was the last conference, I think in 2014, maybe 2015, we decided to host a cardistry con. And cardistry con, I'm pretty sure, came to be from Zach Mueller. I think it was him and I chatting like, what could we do? Because we had seen it every year. All these cardists from all over the world would come to cardistry con and sort of gather in one little corner and just hang out the whole time. They weren't really interested in the magic side of it. They just wanted to meet these other cardists they had known from online forums and just share ideas. So Dave and I caught on to that. Zach Mueller caught on to that. And we came up with the idea of hosting a little conference for like 5 hours on Sunday night after MagicCon ended. And we rented a tiny little room in the conference center. And we had a little tiny stage, a TV, some speakers. Nice. We brought in pizza. And we just screened videos and had like Chase Duncan give a little talk, Zach Mueller give a little talk. And then Alan Hagen was there, and he set up a little like set in the back of the room and did like a community cardistry video.
That's cool.
It was really fun, and that was ultimately the birth of Cardistry Con. From then on, we're like, okay, this could be a standalone conference. So we decided that we were going to host it the following year. Our good friend Ricky Smith was living in Brooklyn at the time, and he introduced us to this really cool area called Gowanus District, and we found an awesome little loft, very industrial, very unlike your typical convention center or hotel convention center. It was very hip and modern and raw. It just fit like the
out of place style.
Yeah, it fit the cardistry culture. Yeah. So we took it over, we put cool prints on the walls, we decorated it with fun furniture, and had an amazing 3-day conference. And we got people from all over the world. That was the first time we did the Cardistry Con Championship. And it was a huge success. It was very different than any magic convention that we were used to. It was more or less like a meetup, like a global meetup. No one took themselves seriously. They were just there to have a really good time, hang out with friends that maybe they had met online, or new friends that they met for the first time there. It was awesome.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like bringing MagicCon back, or maybe combining them into like the card convention? Or
I mean, MagicCon will come back in some format in the near future. I think the reason why we kind of stopped it is just because at that time, we had done 4 conferences and it was just copied. Everyone is doing that format now.
Yeah.
So when the time comes, we'll have to disrupt everything again and come up with something new.
Yeah.
I really want to do like a festival, with many thousands of people and integrate, many different mediums, from magic to wonder to cardistry to optical illusions to technology, entertainment, just like a conglomerate of arts on innovation.
That's dope. Have fun like preparing that. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It'll be fun. You'll have to do like some like pop-up spots and like maybe start in one area and then like wherever the finishing festival is going to be, like bring people along the way.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
So I think that actually touched on a question we had from the audience earlier that I thought was a really good one. At some point or another, do you see the potential, and I think we've talked a lot about the evolution of your business. Do you see the potential of Dan and Dave Industries evolving out of cards?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think in the distant future, I mean, you can see it happening now in Art of Play. The other products have, dwarfed the playing card. Exactly. I love that.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. For those of you who don't know what this is, can you please come out with like version 1, version 2, version 3 of these, and like all these different like animals that people that like whoever doesn't know what this is a microfiber cloth for like, a screen or glasses or whatever. And basically it's like a crane. And what you do is you can open it, wipe down your monitor, here, let me get that. And then what you do is you literally just throw it in your hand like this, and it goes back to.
That's really dope.
I don't understand. Like, I don't get it.
That's magical. Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm going to use my one swear that Tyler allows me and say, this is fucking amazing. Like, whoever doesn't have this, go to Art of Play right now, buy it. If you want, you can message me and I'll get a bunch of orders in and I'll put them on the store. But it's dope. It's amazing. Go buy one. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that's so just to sidetrack for a second, since you brought that up, we opened a retail store in San Diego last December, and just seeing customers come in and like experiencing our product is exactly that. They end up demoing to other customers because they're so fascinated with it and feel the need to share it with everyone.
That's awesome. That's how you sell a product. Like, the best way to sell a product is for someone to be so psyched on it and to like carry it off and show their friends and show their friends, and that's how. Yeah, that thing's amazing. Like, I would love to see more animals. That'd be cool. So anyway, go ahead. So yeah, so
where were we at? Shit.
we were talking about like diving into like other avenues other than God.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying you can kind of see it happening right now with Art of Play. There's only now a handful of playing cards. It used to be a playing card only website with hundreds of decks. Now we only sell our own playing cards, which is not very many, along with hundreds of games, puzzles, and now toys.
Right.
So will there ever be a time when we don't do playing cards? Probably not. I mean, that's what we grew up on. That fueled our entire industry and passion in business. So I think we'll always do playing cards. But yeah, they're becoming, a smaller and smaller aspect of what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bacon asked, do you develop your own puzzles and toys, or are they other companies that you?
We curate a lot. I mean, I think we'll always curate puzzles and toys and games from around the world because we love traveling and seeing what's unique out there. And if we only did our own thing, we would be missing out on, introducing the world to these unique things we find. Yeah. With that said, we are also starting to manufacture or design and manufacture our own puzzles and games, which is a totally new ball game. Like, I feel like we've gotten really good at producing playing cards. Like, it's easy, because we've done it for so long. But trying to manufacture a puzzle or a game, like, how do you do that? That's really hard.
Yeah, dude, I can't even imagine. I would love to see like I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I'm sure people would totally dig it. It'd be cool to see like puzzle, big puzzles of your back designs. Like I think people would be totally down for that, and like really big ones where they can like hang on their wall, like glue them up.
Like, I mean,
like,
we'd love that idea. We've explored cutting up or laminating like an uncut sheet to a piece of masonite and then laser cutting it out into a jigsaw puzzle.
That'd be cool.
It's really cool because it has the playing card texture. It's actually a playing card.
Yeah.
The problem with that is it only works for certain decks. Like the ultimate deck would be a great jigsaw puzzle because
oh my god, yeah,
everything's different.
Yeah.
If you're putting together like an uncut sheet of plaids, for example, well, that'd be really hard actually.
Yeah, but that'd be like the levels, right? Like level 1 through 5 or something. Yeah. But I think rather than the uncut sheet, because uncut sheet would be like
a big card, a
big card back, or like the ace, like something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
No, I think we'll do that. We definitely wanted to do something like that for a while.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It'd be a whole series on its own,
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I mean, how cool would it be to have each one like in an office or something like of the mirrors? A lot of people like those smoke and mirrors. It's like a lot of stories for them as well. They probably really dig that.
And we have like single color circular puzzles that people do that are literally just like a gray circle, and it's like figure that one out. And
hell no.
People love that.
Yeah, no thanks.
We offer a lenticular color changing puzzle in our shop, and it should come with a warning before someone buys it.
Yeah, no thanks. I love my girlfriend and I crush puzzles. Like we crush 2,000 piece puzzles in like 12 hours. Like we crush it. And then there are some puzzles we look at and we're like, oh hell no, we ain't gonna touch that puzzle. Yeah. So we have a couple questions here from outside of us. I think we should dive into that for just a little bit so we can get some of these answered. Oh yeah, let's go with a Kyle question. Let's do Kyle. So Kyle is Diesel Illusions, and he asks our guest a fun question.
Questions.
Yeah, sometimes it's out there, sometimes it's just pretty deep. But so his question is: if a Smurf starts to choke, what color would he become? I love seeing people's responses to Kyle's questions. Like,
Smurfs are blue, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I think he would stay blue. Honestly.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough.
My thought is probably that he'd like would he
Purple,
turn
maybe?
white because he's dead?
That's morbid.
Because it depends if he dies or not.
Is it a hat that's white he wears, or is that part of his
Yeah,
head?
they wear a white hat.
That's
a white
his hat. Yeah, that's his hat.
Yeah. I feel like the next stage after you turn blue from choking is purple, so maybe he'd just go straight to purple.
Oh yeah. That's
What is he choking on?
A card.
A what?
A card. A card.
He was eating too many cards.
He was eating too many cards. He choked on a few cards.
Yeah, I still say blue.
All right, fair enough.
Right on. All right, let's dive into the questions here from the.
This came from Chris. Ask Dan if he's ready for a delivery of 30,000 Orbit decks within the next couple months.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to see the new design.
Dude, I think everyone can't wait to see the new design. I know I'm super excited.
Exciting. Heck yeah, excited. What up, Orbit?
We actually had another good one here. Where did it just go? So bacon-wise, Jamie wanted to know what's the status on standards, on the idea of filling out the collector's box.
Damn it! You already asked it. I was waiting.
We have a new design that just arrived into our warehouse. It's the fourth design. We're waiting on tuck boxes now. As soon as we get those, they'll be assembled immediately, and we hope to have them up next month. And then the fifth design will be released for the holidays, and then the final sixth design will be released next year.
Can I ask? Can you tell us what color the next one is?
It's 3 colors.
That's not what color it's going to be. Tell us the prominent color in it, because we have black, we got the gold, and we have the red, right?
Yeah, it's. I can just give it away. I wish I should have brought one.
That would have been so cool.
It's the British flag on the back design, underneath the intricate gold metallic. It's pretty unique. It's cool.
That is awesome. That sounds really
cool.
awesome.
I finally, because obviously I came after all this, the bespoke box and everything, but I was finally able to track one down, and I have it sitting in my room waiting for all these other decks to put in it. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, that box is incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Can you make more boxes like that? Not like identical, but
yeah, we will. I think people really liked what we did with the standards, and the makers too. We've done some really cool box sets. We have a new in the works that fingers crossed comes out this year, because it's been in the works for 2 years. It was supposed to come out last year for the holidays, and we're still working on it. But we have an incredible box set planned for it. So
nice. That's exciting.
That's cool. You ever do we have any collaborations coming up in the near future? Or do you ever see collaborating with Theory 11 or like another brand like that?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I would love to collaborate with Fontaine and do like a Fontaine Smoke and Mirrors one day. He's very picky.
That'd be cool.
Theory 11 would be a cool collab. I like those guys. They do incredible decks. We do have a ton of collabs coming out this year, though. We have a new deck with Flying Dog Brewery with Ralph Steadman as the artist. It's going to be a three volume set, so the second deck's coming out pretty soon.
Cool.
Actually, we have we collaborate a lot with breweries.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
We have Modern Times is based in San Diego. It's a really cool brewery. We have a deck coming out with them. And one of my favorite collabs is McKellar beer. They're based in Denmark. But the artist that does all their work, Keith Shore, has a really unique, cool style. So I'm excited about that deck. And then
is that gonna be like a European feel to it? Or?
No, you could Google Keith Shore art and you'll see.
We'll drop a link.
We'll put it in the comments. Yeah.
But there's two other incredible collaborations that I can't really tell you about, but one of them is a dream come true.
Nice, that's cool. Exciting.
Yeah.
All right, how can we get it out of him? Okay, if you could think of anybody that you wanted to collaborate with, who would that collaboration be with?
Rich Ramsey.
How about Orbit Brown collab right there?
An Orbit collab, yeah. I love all
That'd
these
be dope.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that collaboration.
So we actually had a couple people ask this question too, and I think it's a good one. This one here's from Caitlin Chen. Art Place Warehouse is located in San Diego, but do you think the company would ever expand and have stores in other parts of the world for people to be able to visit? And I think you kind of alluded to this with one of your answers earlier, where you mentioned locations. But
that's a cool question.
The warehouse is one thing. The retail stores, though, we opened our first retail store in San Diego last November. Actually, Dave and I were on a little field trip all over Los Angeles in February, looking for retail spaces there. We found some really cool ones, and we were just about to go ahead with it, but then everything changed.
Dang.
So that's on the back burner.
COVID messing everything up.
Yeah. So probably next year, we hope to expand to LA. But yeah, Brooklyn would be incredible. Tokyo is on our dream list.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about Petaluma?
It's way down on the list.
I know. As long as there's one near California.
As long as it's on the list.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You're saying there's a chance.
I mean, it doesn't have to be in Petaluma. We can put it there's other places that I can deal with, I'm okay with that. I think if you came to Petaluma, I think there'd be another company that would probably go out of business.
Oh yeah, who's that?
I mean, I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a company that is out of Petaluma.
Yeah.
Yeah. We won't go into that though.
So I think
Someone said Toronto.
Toronto,
That'd
yeah.
be good. That'd be dope.
Would be
Toronto's
great.
huge.
London, Toronto, Berlin. I mean, there'd definitely be some places you could go like internationally. That would be, I think it would do great.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
So James from the Card Inn.
Yeah,
a really good question. I think James is very entrepreneurially oriented, so this kind of goes towards that aspect. He said, how often would you say you've taken risks in your career, and how often have they paid off?
All the time. I think we've built our company around taking risks. I think the biggest risks we took was when we were 22, we bought a $1 million condo in Hollywood. And then we're like, oh shit, how do we afford this? That was during like pre-market collapse in 2007.
And you got rid of it in time, I hope?
No, we sold it like 3 years ago and at a loss. But that's a different story. But we bought it, and then not thinking much about the future. But then it's a huge mortgage, as it should be. And that definitely inspired us to turn our magic hobby into a serious business and work our ass off to afford it. And it paid off,
That's awesome.
I don't think without that, we would have had that drive, because it was like, all or nothing in a way. We had to make this work. The trilogy was insanely successful, but that was just one product and it wasn't sustainable forever, Only so many people could buy it.
Where is it now? Can people still get it?
The trilogy you can get on Vanishing Ink as a streaming video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that inspired us to start content with other magicians, and we released, dozens of DVDs and books and tricks over the years under the Dan and Dave brand. Yeah.
I have a question. I have to, otherwise I'll forget. Does Dan and Dave own Clove Street Press?
No,
No,
we don't.
Okay.
Clove Street Press is a great friend of ours.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're very, very
There's
close.
so many people are like, I swear, Dan and Dave owns Clove Street Press. I'm like, I mean, you never know, but cool. Anyway, they're like the best in the business. So I figured,
they do phenomenal work. I mean,
oh my God, ridiculous. Those, is it a big team over there?
It's a small team, but everyone knows what they're doing. So it's the same as a big team anywhere else.
Yeah,
You know what
I mean, they crush it for sure.
Yeah.
Crush it. So I know one of the questions that I actually had come in earlier that I wanted to get out there, and I think this might be a hard one for you, just because, well, not really a hard one, but we've discussed, earlier, you mentioned that something you did 5 years ago, now you might be like, oh my God, that's horrifying. Which would you say of the Smoke and Mirrors series is your personal favorite? I mean, it may have been something that at the time was your favorite, or what's your favorite now? I have a feeling that may have changed over time.
I always like the green ones.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the first redesign, I put all the dots instead of the intricate background pattern, which seemed more on brand with where we were taking the company. It was more minimal and fit cardistry a little better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I really like the two-tone green. I still use the deck. Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
That's cool. Do you and Dave ever go like, with any partnership, obviously, like you bring something to the table and maybe you like green, he likes blue, and you're like, no, I want to do blue first or green first, or you guys ever come to that and, do one and then next time another one comes out? Or?
Not really. I mean, we're pretty much on the same page. I mean, it's weird. Like we're twins and we kind of think the same in a way.
Yeah.
There's always disagreements on certain things, but that's good because we'll find mutual ground, and often it's better than either of us had in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. When's the next Cardistry Con coming? Sorry.
Cardistry Con was supposed to happen next week.
Let's go. Where we going?
It was going to take place in Berlin. Or
Right.
not Berlin,
But you, I
Brussels.
mean, you don't have any like
planting the seed of
furniture.
Berlin.
You don't have any furniture or anything in your house, right? So we can like meet you all this weekend.
I wouldn't fit very many people. But yeah, we unfortunately had to cancel this year's conference, and we just were not able to reschedule. It would have been very risky to reschedule.
Yeah.
Who knows how long this is going to go on?
Right.
So we were thankfully able to reschedule for around the same time next year.
Cool.
So it's going to happen. I haven't really made a formal announcement yet, but I will shortly. It's going to happen July 16th, 17th, and 18th of 2021 in Brussels.
Cool.
It'll be really cool. We found an incredible venue that can hold up to 400 people, so similar size as last year in Portland. Yeah, I'm stoked. I think
That's really exciting.
Yeah,
So
I
this is
mean,
the first international one, right?
no, not at all. We've done Berlin, we've done Hong Kong.
Okay. Oh,
What
interesting.
LA.
There's been Brooklyn, Berlin, LA, Hong Kong, Portland. This will be the sixth one in Brussels.
Nice.
And then the fifth one, the seventh is Petaluma.
No, I think I don't know. I'm toying with the idea of doing cardistry camp for the seventh one.
That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool.
I think it could be rad. Like get rent out an actual campsite, like where they do summer camps somewhere in Canada. So it's
that'd be dope.
Like
it's kind of like a meditation, like a retreat kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
This idea sounds very familiar to something that Chris mentioned when he was on.
Oh yeah, I mean we have probably talked about it. I mean, yeah.
That's great though. I mean, it's good to see, entrepreneurial minds in the community who obviously talk to each other regularly. That's how I think a lot of innovation comes about, which is exciting. But that's, listen, touching on different ways to do, to share the cardistry and everything is just a great way to get more people involved. And obviously there's probably a lot of crossover between people who enjoy the outdoors and enjoy cards and, would love to see that sort of camping vibe to it.
Yeah, I hope we'll find out, I guess.
I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, it's something that hasn't been done, right? And I think everybody loves camping and going away,
Yeah, I mean, there's like Tannen's Magic has their camp up in Philadelphia, I think. I don't know, Bryn Mawr. It's a huge college up there. And then there used to be a thing in Canada called Sorcerer's Safari. We stopped doing it a couple years, but Dave and I were counselors at it many years ago, and it was awesome. It's like a legit summer camp with all the cool outdoor activities, but with magic classes and magic shows every night.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Tahoe would be a dope place for that. Danny Carey said that'd be cool.
That would be great.
Cardistry cruise. That'd be kind of cool too.
Cruise.
even though I hate cruises, but cardistry cruise sounds cool. That'd be kind of cool.
I feel like the cruise industry is going to take a little bit of a hit for a while with the pandemic going on. But,
yeah, exactly.
Might not be the best idea for the first one out the gate. Well, so if we had any other questions from the audience before we kind of roll things out for the day, see if anyone has anything in. If not, Dan, we just wanted to say, so one more question did come in from Brian Ballard. Any insight on upcoming Ace Fultons?
Yeah. We have an orange one coming out very, very soon.
Sometime around orange? Another orange?
Well, it's been a while since we've done orange. Yeah. But this would be the vintage back. So it'd be
cool.
From the original orange in a way. It would match the recent brown one we came out with.
Oh, cool. Okay. Can you please get Brad to print the denim?
We talked about it. I mean,
I know, it's crazy.
It sucks. Like everyone wants that. But the reason we sent them all back and never got around to reprinting them was because they sucked. Like you would open them and they didn't even fan. It was like a brick.
That's terrible.
The colors weren't right. It's like very muted. Like I don't know what happened. So if we did reprint it, it wouldn't be the same color. we could still call it denim though. I think the faded blue and gold is still a cool look. It would just have to be
something. Hell yeah. And I want a white one, like a classy, like a white one that is just like really sharp and classy, but has no like color in it, you know?
Just like all white.
Like white, no, not like a knock, but like a white with like maybe like a gray logo or something. I think that'd be kind of dope. Like silver, even like if it's metallic ink or something.
Very like monochrome.
I think it'd be kind of dope, but that's just me. What do I know?
There was an old, I'm trying to think of what it was called. There was an old casino deck that was all white, but just had like a logo in the middle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I do like that. Not many people are doing that, you know?
Yeah. I think I'm just a huge fan of the classy white decks that are minimal, that look really good for Magic, and the back isn't too kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah. What's you guys asked me my favorite deck. What's your guys' favorite deck right now?
Favorite deck. I mean, I have favorite decks for different reasons. Like I have my favorite like collector's deck, and I have my favorite like one that I'm always messing around with. I think for me, I think my go-to deck to always like play around with or whatever is probably like a knock. Like my favorite kind of mess around deck is probably like the white knockout, just because it's plain. Yeah, well, yeah, the all white with just a little black border. Just because they're so cheap, they're literally $8 for the deck. You can bang through them, and I like that classy look. Or the Monarchs. I mean, Monarchs are always a go-to for me.
Monarchs are great.
This is my go-to right there.
Oh, nice.
Joker and the Thief.
Yeah. I honestly, this is the deck that sits next to me all day long, and I just love playing with it. And it's funny because as much as I get new decks in relatively regularly and I'll play around with them, some of them feel great. Like one of the best decks I've felt recently was the Oxygen deck by Nick Nisko with the elemental playing cards. It felt great out of the box. I loved it, played around with it. It's really nice. This is the Joker and the Thief is the one I always go back to. This and the Seafarers are there.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, James does good work. He understands like playing card composition, I think, more so than a lot of people.
Yeah. And so that was actually kind of tied into a question that came in was, what recommendations would you give someone looking to make a good custom deck of cards?
That's like a long list, right?
Like talking design or what?
I'm guessing probably design, and I think that's a tough one because design is so subjective, but
it is tough, and you're right, it is very subjective because there's so much variety out there, and sometimes I'm like, why do people buy this? Why is this so popular?
we have that conversation a lot on our end too.
Yeah,
dude, you know what? It's crazy. It's so subjective, and there is something out there for every single person. You know, like we go on Kickstarter, and some of the stuff on Kickstarter, and I don't like to call people's art trash, but like, oh my God, some of the decks that go up there are complete trash, and they get funded like literally like that. And
why do they get funded?
Because a lot of people like, some people like, look, all right. So every once in a while, you'll see a deck that's like very distasteful female art, whether it's just
like
tacky, like just distasteful, like pinup stuff that's really, just objectifying women. But let's be honest, a lot of like douchey guys like that stuff, So when decks like that go up, they're like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they make on those decks, which blows my mind. People like it.
You also see a lot of times like people who are established artists design to create a deck of cards, and they'll go through someone like MPC or Zazzle, and the design's really nice, but being someone who plays with playing cards, you know that the quality is going to be subpar, and they'll fund phenomenally, and because it's the people who support the art. So I think a lot of times, it really depends on who's trying to do it. There are some decks out there that are actually really good that we see that don't fund on Kickstarter sometimes, and it's a bummer. And, hopefully they go back to the drawing board and bring them out again. But yeah, I think a lot of it's just taste, understanding what people like enjoy from a simple point of view, and then, like following.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the community, I think, really helps out too. It seems like a lot of the community will back a deck just because they want to support their friend.
Yeah.
Because it is
I
such
agree.
a tight-knit community, which is, I guess, good, but it's also bad because it floods the market with trash.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's just like Supreme. They're a huge name, and it doesn't matter what their stuff looks like, somebody's going to buy it just because it says Supreme, you know? And I think it's the same thing in our, or any community, you know, in climbing community, in the jiu-jitsu community, in any community that has, you know, things that people can buy to rep, you know? And I think, you know, in popular hype brands, they can come out with a deck that looks a certain way that will get like bought out in 2 seconds. And then if a different person was to put out that same deck, nobody would buy it. So I think it's just brand kind of in a way for some things.
Brand loyalty a lot of times, which isn't a bad thing. The purpose of building a brand is to foster loyalty. So they're doing something right there. One of the other questions too we had was, you mentioned that the warehouse was going to be moving. Is it still planned to move somewhere within California?
Yeah, we're still staying in San Diego. We're just moving to a bigger facility.
Okay.
And making it strictly a fulfillment center rather than having our showroom inside. We'll make the showroom again one day, probably in LA, but not anytime soon.
Well, we'll be sure to get down before November so we can give everybody a last look. And you know, we don't want to keep you any longer. We've kept you for a while on this Sunday.
Which we appreciate you coming on though. For real.
It's totally fine. Not much on Sunday.
Tell the wife we said thank you for letting us steal you for a while.
Will do.
Well, we really appreciate it, Dan. And again, thank you also to everyone who came out to check out the show.
Last minute was great.
For supporting Deckin Around, but also big thank you to Dan for coming out last minute. So thanks so much, everyone. Feel free to drop some comments or questions if you have any follow-up in the comments below. And we will see you all Thursday with Jeremy Griffith.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Peace.